Hi everyone, it's Shireen from Moji Masala. Welcome. Thanks for joining us on this Friday morning. We're making dal with meat today. If you're familiar with our Moji Masala dal packet, you've probably made it. It's super easy, very delicious. You can eat it as a soup. You can also eat it with rice and yogurt as more traditionally. But today, what I really was craving actually was dal with a little bit of meat. And I thought, well, what a great opportunity to just show you not just how to make dal with meat, but also really when you want to add meat to a lot of typically vegetarian dishes, it's really easy. And it sort of allows for a little variety. Like if you have vegetarian and non-vegetarian, say guests, or even in a family household, you can actually make this both vegetarian and non-vegetarian. So, and we are working on a new packet, which is a packet for spices to boil the meat in, which then gets added into whatever vegetarian dish you're making. In this case, it's going to be our dal, but you could do this with, like, for example, mushrooms, cauliflower and meat. All works great, and it becomes more of a curry. So you take a lot of your traditional vegetable sautés, boil some meat, take the broth of that meat, add it into your dish, and you kind of have this wonderful, hearty, more curry-like dish, which is great. So in the interest of saving a little bit of time, I went ahead and boiled the meat because I figure that's pretty straightforward. But I'm going to show you here what the end result of that is and what spices were used really quickly. And then we're going to go ahead and cook the dal. So I don't know if you can kind of get that camera down. A pound of lamb, this would be like lamb stew pieces, in about 5 cups of water. And this is the spices. This will be our new spice packet here, which is freshly ground fennel, really important when you're making meat. Garlic, salt, and turmeric. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated, but delicious. So, and I boiled that for about, probably, I simmered it for about 45 minutes, and the end result is this broth. Excuse our technology a little bit. We're in a new setting today. Sort of yields about 4 to 4.5 cups of broth. And so that step is done. And now I'm going to go to the step of actually cooking the dal, which this is the recipe that's on our site. The difference is we are going to not use the whole packet. Since we use some spices to make the broth, we're only going to need a partial amount of this dal packet, which I have all kind of here. And then we're going to finish it with the garam masala, which is so yummy, really just for any dish, but also for this dish. And in the paste that I'm going to make for the dal, I'm going to add some minced, just out of a jar, minced garlic and ginger. Really adds a ton of flavor. Again, this you could do also for almost like any paste that you make. You guys should be like pros now at making your paste, I think, if you've been cooking Moji Masala. So with that said, we're going to go over to the pan and really make our paste, saute our meat, add in our dal, add in our water. The other thing we're going to do, I know so many people are like, where are the Instant Pot recipes? A lot of Indian food we hear is great. With the Instant Pot, I want to use it. I tend not to use the Instant Pot because I like a certain texture for my curry. I like to brown my onions very brown, and I like a thicker texture for the curry. And I find the Instant Pot doesn't really let you brown the onions as much as like they really should be, and then you lose a lot of flavor. And the curries kind of end up a little too watery for my taste, but they work fine. But for dals, it's great. I get to use, I should have said this dal here is a split chickpea lentil, which is called chana dal. And it actually takes a while. It takes like 5 cups of water and probably like a good hour to soften, but it's so great to cook in the Instant Pot because you can use a pressure cooker setting, gets really soft really fast. And then also the meat. This is a dish that actually is great when the meat's really tender. So it's like perfect because this is a dal, it is a little bit more watery, and you want it to be really kind of soft. So I'm going to transfer this to the Instant Pot because I like to saute in the pan. But if you want to do some of these steps from the beginning on the Instant Pot, that's fine too. So let's get to it. We're going to turn the heat on.
What should you be looking for in an electric stove?
I'm doing medium high. It might take a little while to get a little hot. But so what we're doing here is just we're going to make our masala paste as we do like with every dish that we make. And sorry, I'm gonna turn that light off just to get a little better view there for you guys. And so that there's no onion in this paste. It's super easy. It's just really garlic, ginger, some spices, and tomato. And so I'm gonna do that, get this hot. Yep. Okay. I'm going to do about 2 teaspoons. So just, we're using about a pound of lamb stew meat and a cup of the lentils, the chana dal. So I'm going to do here about 2 teaspoons of garlic and about a half a teaspoon of the ginger. Ginger's strong, so we don't want that overly, the idea is balanced flavors. So let that sizzle up and cook. Hopefully you guys are getting a good view here. This part's actually pretty quick, especially because we don't have to brown the onions this time. Everything that we're doing here is cooking up pretty quick. You want to kind of like sort of brown this garlic ginger paste a little bit. And then this, and to that, so this, if you had the dal masala packet, you'd be adding that in here. Sorry, I didn't add enough oil in there. Using a vegetable oil today, but any high heat oil here. I don't want to use too much oil. I actually forgot to add it in the beginning. Sorry about that, guys. So good. So now it will fry better. Because the lamb has a lot of meat, I'm going to use the broth of the lamb, when I boil the lamb. And so that has a lot of fat in it already. So, I don't want it to be like too gamey, I guess. You could also really trim. That's the cumin coriander. That would also be in there. Turn this down.
Generally, this would be in a packet, right?
Yeah, this would be in a packet. You'd be using about half the packet. So this is just, I'm adding in what I would add in the packet. So these are the spices mixed with the garlic ginger paste. I think I need, would you mind getting a little water? Keeping the water at the side because my pan is burning a little bit. I'm also going to add a little salt. Again, this is all in your packet. And a little splash of water. There we go. Just so this is burning. Now I can turn my heat back up. The stove is really cooking up fast, so I turn my heat down. I'm going to turn it back up and break this up a little bit. Here we go. Scrape the bottom there to get some of that. There's a lot of flavor there, so kind of keep scraping to get that flavor into your paste. All right, and now I have chopped up tomato here that I'm going to add. So just to remind you, all I'm doing is I'm following the dal recipe at this point. That's on the site. Pretty much step by step here. So I'm going to turn my heat back up and really just cook up this tomato so it really melts in. It's going to really liquefy, basically melt into this paste. And then when the oil separates is how I know when it's done. I didn't use as much oil, so you won't get as much of that. This smells so good. And just all of it, the garlic, ginger, the cumin, the coriander, even like I can even smell a little bit of the heat of red chili. So we're going to be, adding this new packet for boiling the meat and putting up a second recipe to just to really make it clear and simple. And if this goes well, if people are really enjoying kind of adding meat to some of these, and we're going to be following that up with doing it with some of the other veggies we have up there. So you could just take existing packets that we have and really create whole new dishes. And even though it's like you're just adding meat to this dish, it really becomes a different dish. It's just the meat, of course, like anything else, you just get, you know, the fat from the meat, the flavor of the meat. It just makes the dal a whole different dish. And it's not for all the time, you know, it's a little bit heavier. It has a little more presentation to it. It's yummy. Alright, it's looking good. It's really, this one's cooking up pretty fast. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and add the meat. Not brown the meat, it's already been boiled. And the other little trick, I think a lot of people find lamb can be really gamey, and also they don't like the smell. My mother is very sensitive to the smell of that, and she always boils her meat first. It kind of gets some of that excess fat off, and it totally eliminates that particular smell that is for lamb. She actually cooks goat a lot, but she does it the same thing with goat. And it just sort of, you kind of just taste the flavors of the spices and the lentils a little bit more evenly versus just smelling maybe and tasting the gaminess of the meat. So now if you're transferring to the, you're really doing all of this in the Instant Pot, you know, you can shorten your time on everything because the Instant Pot's going to super cook it. So really just want to get a little bit of texture from sauteing. Okay, and now we're going to, I have pre-washed these. If you're not going to use the Instant Pot, you probably should soak them for a little while, even overnight. But you really want to wash any kind of, at least, you know, you want to wash your lentils well. You'll see that until they run clear. Again, my mother does an extra step. She boils and drains and rinses them, and it gets all that kind of white foam off. You know, she scrapes it off, washes them, and then does this stuff. So I just washed mine really, really well. I get a little lazy with that kind of stuff. And it, you know, if you kind of don't do that, it's just really just a, well, first of all, you want clean food, but also, you know, the flavor's different. It's a fresher, cleaner flavor. A little water for the side of my pan that was burning. Pot there. So this is also so pretty. I thought just the yellow lentils and the meat, the tomatoes. So nice. And if you really manage it well, if you don't, you know, if you get a very lean meat, for example, you can use any meat really for this. And really control how much oil you use when you're, you know, cooking it up, like all the steps I'm doing now. You can actually eat it as a soup, as a stew, you know, without, especially once you boil the meat, a lot of that gaminess is gone. It's delicious. You know, that was my adjustment, is kind of eating a little healthier. I didn't always want to have a heavy meal with rice, but I, you know, I was craving the dish. Okay. So now I'm just gonna transfer it to the Instant Pot. Here. This is quick. All right. Now, like I said, I boiled it in the amount of water that I would need to really cook it on the stove properly, because the lentils, this chickpea lentil takes forever to soften. But I'm not going to use it all because I'm just going to use, you know, with Instant Pot, pretty much what you see when you close it is what you get at the end. That's the beauty of the pressure cooker setting. So you can kind of choose, that's the other good thing, you can choose your texture. If you want more of a soupy texture, you know, add more water. If you want it a little bit thicker and stew-like, add less. It's going to be up to you. You have a little more flexibility. I like mine a little soupier. I typically like to have it with rice. And the other beautiful thing you can do at the end, it really makes a huge difference, is the bagar, which we have in the dal recipe as well. An onion bagar at the end, just, you know, really fry an onion in a little bit of oil in a small pan, and right when, you know, your dal is boiling and done, like right when you take the lid off, pour it right in and blend it in. And it's so good. With that, you can't do it as a soup because I think it'll be just, you know, a little too rich for a soup, but it's so delicious. And you know, we'll show you that at the end after we come back when this dish is done. All right, so there we go. That's that, and now let's see here. I'm gonna scoop it in so I can see what I'm doing here. All right. So this is it's pretty rich. So.
What is that?
So this is the broth that I boiled the meat in, just to be clear again.
Where did you get the broth?
No, I created it.
I know.
Yeah. It just, you know, just as I was explaining for those who have joined, we boiled the meat ahead of time in a new spice blend that we're using for boiled meat when you want to add it to, you know, basically a vegetarian dish. So this is good. I'm pretty well covered here. I think I'm going to leave it at that. You know, I'm going to see how that goes. I think that's a good texture. What about you? How do you like it, JD? You like it a little soupier, or you like it thicker?
Less soupy.
You like it less. Okay, so we're going to leave it at that. Place to close make sure it's on the close. I always forget. Oh yeah. So you want to make sure, put it in. You want to make sure it's on the sealing position here. Oops, sorry. I think people have different versions of this, but I think the concept is all the same. So I'm hitting pressure cook, and mine automatically goes for 30 minutes, which I think is going to be just right. And I'm going to let it I'm going to let the steam come out on its own rather than do it myself to give it that extra few minutes of really softening. So it's on. So we'll be back in 30 minutes to take a look at it.
Bye guys, see you soon. Hi Neha, hi Rita, hi Soul Food Bakery, hi Sakat. Okay, we'll be back in 30 minutes.
Be well.
Bye.